Hi everyone. We are here today to talk about our tropicals push this week. We have the Women's Makers campaign, and we are featuring Frieda's. You see Frieda's name on a couple of these items, like the gooseberries, the Mandarinquats, the pink variegated lemons, and the Kumquats. And I want to tell you a little bit about Frieda. Frieda was the first woman to own and start a produce company in the United States back in 1962. And what she did was bring in all these cool things from around the world that people didn't really know. One interesting story is that she's the one who brought the kiwi to the United States and gave it its name. It used to be called a Chinese gooseberry until she named it. So she's pretty important in the produce industry, and we want to honor her this week. As a company, we continue to buy things through Frieda's that we can't necessarily source directly. And we're lucky in California, we have some of these items we can get locally. So there are times where you'll see Frieda's product and times where we'll get these items from other sources. So what do we have today? All right, so we already talked about some of the citrus. I believe everyone here knows kumquats. This is different than the other kumquat we have. It's a different variety. It's more elongated, but otherwise it's very similar. And we have this beautiful Mandarinquat, which is a combination of a mandarin and a kumquat. And what's special about these? It's that we eat the whole thing. We eat the skin and everything in it. We might want to spit out the seeds. But when I first started in produce and learned about kumquats, what we used to do was we'd roll them in between our hands with a little bit of gentle pressure. When you do that, you see the oils come out onto your hand, and it releases the oils and the aroma. So good. What is surprising to people, you might want to be ready for a little bit of a tart bite, but the skin is actually way sweeter than the juice on these. So they're perfect to use for anything that you want the skin in. You can add them to a salad, make a jam, and there are a couple good suggestions on this bag of what to do with the Mandarinquats. Same thing you can do with the kumquats. All right, let's talk about this pink variegated lemon. So pretty. If you ever want a true pink lemonade, this is one way to get it. You'll see on the outside, they have this striping or striation that separates them. Moving on to some of the other items here. One more item with the Frieda's label are these Cape gooseberries. So has anyone heard of a golden berry? It's a very popular superfood because it's extremely high in antioxidants and vitamin C. And if you look at these up close, what you'll see is that they have a husk. It's very much like a tomatillo. And you can see that when the husk is drier, generally that means that it is riper because it stayed on the vine and the plant a little longer. I personally love these. When I introduce them to a customer or team member, I try and remember that though it's called a berry, it's not gonna be as sweet as the berries we know. So to be prepared for that. And when people are, a lot of people can really enjoy that tart, sweet, unique flavor. Great item to add to a salsa or just eat. I eat a whole pint at a time. Okay, let's keep going. So many of us know kiwi berries. Though these are not from the United States, we're lucky to get a lot of this stuff locally in season. A kiwi berry is essentially a very tiny baby kiwi with all of its part, the very tender skin, just like a human newborn has really tender skin. All these fruits and vegetables, whenever you see a baby version, it's just going to be so much more tender than the adult version, which is funny, but it's true. All right, so now we're going to move on to the tropicals. One thing not pictured here that's part of the program is young coconut. I figured mostly everybody was familiar with young coconut, so I went ahead and left that out because there's so much to talk about. But I want to talk a little bit about these items here. And we are in Northern California, but we are lucky to be able to source some of these items locally at times of the year. I'm going to tell you right now that these are passion fruit, and these passion fruit in the front I actually got at a farmer's market last weekend or the weekend before. And the reason I have them here is because this is the one I got at our store, and it's very firm and smooth. But I usually like to wait until these are a little bit more wrinkled like this one is. They're going to be a little less tart. You know why? Because whenever a fruit dehydrates a little bit after its point of peak growth, the sugars are going to be a little bit more pronounced. So let it ripen, let it dehydrate a little bit. This is also a very tangy fruit filled with nutrients. A great addition to add flavor, like making a sauce or a salad dressing or eating on ice cream or something like that. All right. Few more to talk about. So here we have the Starfruit. I cut it, and so you can see this slice of star. Pretty. Also known as the carambola. This is actually from the United States. I find this to be a very refreshing. It's not incredibly strong. It's got a little bit of sweetness, but it's got a refreshing attribute, kind of like a cucumber. It's very juicy, and it's got a little bit of that kind of juicy bite like a cucumber does. Now we all know this beautiful dragon fruit. We know it, but maybe not everybody has eaten one yet. What I suggest is that you try the yellow dragon fruit. I've had experience where the yellow is actually sweeter. Now, this is not the sweetest fruit. When we talk about fruit as a sweet, this is, I would say, moderate in terms of sugar, and sometimes it's very, very mild. So it's nice to add it to a fruit salad, or to get the texture, the seeds. They're nice to crunch on. What you may have seen, and if not, I want you to look out for, is that there are times where we get a pink or red dragon fruit that's actually deep red inside. If it's deep red, it's got a whole host of nutrients in there. Anytime you see a bright color in nature, in fruit, in vegetable, that is going to correspond to micronutrients, vitamins, and phytonutrients. Those phytonutrients are often, almost always, antioxidants. There are thousands of antioxidants, but they're all great for our cells. So when people say eat the rainbow, that's one reason, is you don't need to know the details to know that something that's bright yellow or orange or dark blue or purple or bright red is going to be packed with nutrition that's good for you, along with often being delicious. All right, and we're going to finish up with this one. You all gave me the opportunity and the inspiration to learn more about jackfruit today. So I tackled a whole jackfruit. Often we will segment it and either cut it in pieces or slices and wrap it, or we'll segment it and we'll pull these individual pieces out. And we'll put a bunch of them like these into a cup and sell them in value added, which is awesome. This is the part that people are pretty much going to be eating. There's a seed in the middle, but it's very easy to get out. What I learned is a few things about how to cut. And while we see people slice them, what I learned is if the fruit is ripe enough, you can go around and cut a spiral all the way around the fruit and basically pull the exterior and peel this off, and it will separate, leaving all of these, basically these pods of fruit attached to the core, and it makes them really easy to pick off. It's kind of got a beautiful honeycomb pattern. Now this is ripe, but I think it needs to be a little bit riper even for that to fall off easily. So I did a little wrestling to get some of it off, and I did cut a little bit of it off. I also learned that the less ripe the fruit is, the more sap is on the inside. And that's why it's suggested if you're gonna cut a jackfruit, you lay it down on paper and you put a little oil on your knife and oil on your hands so it doesn't get all sticky and potentially ruin the knife. This one, being as ripe as it is, I didn't find a lot of sap in here. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share all these beautiful tropicals with you. And what I'm asking is that you all taste one. It's our product hero for the week, to get one of these items as a sample and take it home and let us know what you think. All right, everyone. Bye.